on Channel 18 twice a day, Monday through Friday, and once on Saturday. You will receive a 10% discount off of KOCT production services, as well as dedicated airtime for your submitted program. If you are a filmmaker for only $150 a year, North County filmmakers have the exciting opportunity to get their film shown on KOCT Community Channel 18 and on KOCT.org. By becoming a friend of KOCT, you will receive dedicated airtime for your program, as well as having your program featured on our Filmmakers Spotlight on KOCT.org. Your program will be shared on all of KOCT's social media platforms, and you will receive a 10% discount of KOCT production services. Go to KOCT.org and let's be friends.
We will call this meeting of the Oceanside City Council to order and start with the roll call, please.
Mayor White? Here. Deputy Mayor Feller? Here. Councilmember Kine? Here. Councilmember Sanchez?
Here.
And
Councilmember Rodriguez.
And this evening we will actually start with an invocation.
And tonight's invocation is from Matthew Schlesinger of Grace Church.
Honor to be here. Thank you for letting me begin with prayer. Lord, we thank you tonight. I just pray your hand be upon this group of individuals. We thank you, God, for your mercies that are new every morning and your grace that is sufficient in our weakness. And we acknowledge tonight our need for you, Lord, in the midst of all the uncertainties, all the sickness, all the fear, all the anxiety. Lord, we ask that we would receive your guidance, your protection, your provision. We thank you that you are a very present help in time of trouble, a refuge and a strength. And I pray that your hand would be upon every leader in this room tonight. Lord, that you would bless these authorities and their families. Lord, give them wisdom as they navigate these tumultuous times, Lord. I pray you give them a sense of welfare for the true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and rightness. Lord, the ability to work together in harmony and personal peace in their lives and joy in their task. I pray for the agenda set before them today that you would please give them an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work around our beloved city of Oceanside. In your wonderful name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
And if you'd like to lead us in the pledge.
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Mr. Mullen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City Council met in closed session to discuss item 1 on the agenda, Conference of Labor Negotiator involving the status of negotiations with the Oceanside Police Officers Association and the Oceanside Fire Management Association. There is no action on that item to report. City Council also met on item 2 on the agenda to discuss conference with real property negotiator involving the property at 1403 Mission Avenue. That's the Travelodge Motel. City Council did meet and discuss that matter. Again, there's no action on either item 1 or item 2 on the closed session agenda to report under the Brown Act.
Thank you. With that, we'll go to our consent calendar, which are items 4 through 12. Mr. Navarro, I understand we have received a number of correspondence regarding at least number 7.
On item number 7, the City Clerk's Office received 79 comments, and on item number 10, we received 1 comment. All comments will be available on the City's Agenda's website.
And I have, at least on item 7 and number 10, reviewed those comments, and at least for 7, it appeared that the vast majority of them were all supportive of the action.
I concur. I did look through all of them, so
I'll move approval of the consent calendar. Councilmember Sanchez?
Yes, thank you. I also reviewed all the comments, and I think that the staff report was really clear
that we're looking at ways, this has to do with the sand replenishment retention program. And I think staff was really clear that we're talking about something that would be a project that would be something that would have the least resistance in terms of getting approval, and also cost would be a factor. This is a request for $203,000 for a professional services agreement with GHD of San Diego for the preliminary engineering evaluation and feasibility study. And I have to say that it was the amount of money that I really looked at, because I think there are a lot of things that we could possibly do to keep sand on our beach that has nothing to do with hard structures, but soft structures, soft projects like maybe a reef or something like that. That would be like a living reef, or maybe even some living sand dunes like what Encinitas did, things like that, and perhaps even just doing sand replenishment program more than one time a year. But that $203,000 in light of the times is something that I really had to think about. We are going to be moving beyond this in hopefully a couple of months, maybe a little longer. And we do have this problem, so I'm going to go ahead and support it. You know, I anticipate that when staff comes back with budget and what we're looking at, that we're going to be having to make some very, very hard decisions. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Feller.
Thanks. I as well reviewed these, and I think these people are desperate for any kind of structure, so I hope this study does include groins, whatever it takes to save the sand. And I believe that probably 99% of the people that told us they thought this was a good idea would agree with that. So thank you.
Rodriguez.
I concur with my colleagues in the and the Oceanside is very, very important. So I think it's a great first step to see whether or not we're available to replenish our beaches in the alternative fashion. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
We'll go to 13, which is a report on the COVID-19 state of emergency by our Madam Manager and Mr. Attorney.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. I think I'm the primary one doing the report, but of course John's available if you have particular questions for him. I'm going to give you an update on our actions since the report that I gave 2 weeks ago at the March 25th Council meeting. Our Emergency Operations Center does continue to operate at level 2, mostly virtual. And I did ask both the fire chief and the police chief to be here. They do serve as the two directors of the Emergency Operations Center. Of course, this is a little bit more of a medical emergency, so fire has played a prominent role, but both chiefs and all of our departments have been very involved in this emergency, and they are available for questions once I've given my report if you should have any of them. We are continuing to do daily directors calls and daily Emergency Operations Center planning meetings to coordinate our efforts. It is very fluid, as you are all aware, monitoring announcements at the federal, state, and county level, as well as trends in other cities in the county, and then monitoring compliance within the city of Oceanside and adjusting to areas of concern. Some of the recent actions in the last 2 weeks. On March 26th, we closed our skate parks, playgrounds, and picnic areas. On March 27th, we enacted a hard closure of our beach parking lots and a soft closure of the beaches. At that time, they were open for active recreation only and no gatherings, and we also closed the pier at that time. On March 30th, we advised golf courses that they would need to close by March 31st. And on March 31st, we sent an advisory letter to our short-term rental operators regarding their permissible COVID-19 rental activity. On April 3rd, we moved to implement the April 2nd county health order and the April 3rd addendum, which necessitated closure of all of our beaches at midnight on April 3rd. closure of all of our parking lots, closure of our harbor parking lots except to slip renters and for restaurant pickup. We also advised our slip holders on the recreational boating prohibition and that boats needed to stay in their slips as a result. And we also limited the strand to resident access only. The Oceanside Police Department is educating the public and businesses about the closures and the health orders. They can cite if needed, but to date they've been able to gain compliance through education and warnings. In terms of public information, we have sent 24 news releases since March 1st. We've had 231 COVID-19 posts across 5 social media platforms since February 2nd. We included news articles in both the March and April editions of the Oceanside Tide, which is our e-newsletter, and the April edition was primarily related to our COVID response. We are doing daily updates of our 4 COVID-19 web pages, and there is a link on the city homepage, so any residents who need information can easily find that on the city's website. We also prepared frequently asked questions, which are posted on the web. And we've already produced 2 city-specific videos with a 3rd one in production at the moment to share through social media to help educate the community. In terms of city personnel, we have 63 full-time employees who are telecommuting and 3 part-time employees that are telecommuting, so they're spending 100% of their work time in a telecommute. We have 151 full-time employees who are splitting their time between telecommuting and being on location, and we have 6 part-time employees in that status. And then we have 599 full-time and 120 part-time employees who continue to work on location. As a public service agency, many of our tasks have to be done in person, such as policing, firefighting, emergency medicine, maintenance. We can't do those by telecommuting, so we do have staff still out doing those duties. We have 117 part-time employees who are not working, and those are in positions that are non-essential and include things like our suspended Parks and Recreation program, seasonal lifeguards, positions like that that have been suspended, as well as some library staff, and that is providing salary savings to the city while they are in that non-working status. We have 49 employees working a modified schedule with administrative leave to accommodate child care and other needs, and 9 employees who are completely off work for those reasons. And then among our city staff, we've had 5 city employees tested for COVID-19. Our public health nurse, is that her title, coordinates the testing for all city employees. So there have been 5 tests. There have only been 2 positives, 1 public safety and 1 in a non-public safety position. We are following all the CDC protocols with regard to those employees and minimizing risk to their coworkers. We are also implementing all personal protective and face mask requirements, following all the CDC guidelines for exposure and testing procedures. In terms of just a variety of departmental updates, Police Department reports that crime for the first 3 months of this year is down 14.8% compared to the first 3 months of last year. So apparently having people at home, keeping their eyes on their neighborhoods is reducing crime, and keeping people at home is helping in that regard. I'm sure the police chief could probably elaborate. Development Services wants to note that the city's investment in electronic plan review has helped us to be ahead of the curve in processing plans. Staff advises that we are the only city in San Diego County that performs all types of building plan reviews in-house with an electronic plan review process. You may have seen the newspaper article in the last day or so of other cities scrambling to get those systems up and running, and fortunately we already have that in place. We are also enabling and encouraging our building inspectors to inspect using FaceTime and pictures during the pandemic, and our chief building official, David Gans, was a panelist on a well-attended webinar on that subject, so other cities could learn from our experience. In terms of the library, while they are closed to the public, they are doing daily story times on Facebook and Instagram. They have launched a spring reading challenge virtually. They are providing home delivery of books that are placed on hold, and they're also encouraging residents to apply online for a library card so that they can access e-resources and place books on hold while they can't come to the library in person. In terms of our human resources and IT departments, we've developed and implemented 4 emergency administrative directives to guide our personnel decisions during this time. And in response to the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, we developed a new emergency leave request form, and to date we've had 39 emergency leave requests reviewed and processed under those leave provisions. In addition, IT has configured and assisted 183 new users to work from home that were not previously enabled to do so. They've also been busy load balancing and ensuring that we have adequate bandwidth to support the demand that we're receiving, supporting remote workers as well as the high level of traffic we're seeing to our city website. And they're also implementing a large number of phone and video related services so we can continue to do work virtually. In terms of business assistance, Michelle Geller, our Economic Development Manager, has been very busy sending ongoing updated information on emergency loans, county health orders, and other resources to our businesses and providing liaison services for them. We are allowing traditional non-delivery businesses to temporarily include delivery as part of their operation without amending their business license. And unfortunately, we've received at least 11 warn notices, which are required by the state when a business is laying off more than 50 employees. Those are companies countywide or in some cases statewide that have an Oceanside presence, but we are certainly seeing the impacts of employment losses. And then as council directed, we are working on a small business emergency loan program and recommendations to bring back to council in 2 weeks. In terms of community assistance, 2 weeks ago you approved funding for the Oceanside Kitchen Collaborative, and last week they served 12,155 meals to at-risk seniors, immune-compromised individuals, food insecure or homeless persons in Oceanside. They have 14 Oceanside partners helping with food distribution, various nonprofits around town. I'm not going to list them all. They are also leveraging funds and donations from the community as well as contributions from partnering organizations to reach approximately 860 daily meals. If you recall, we are funding 500 meals a day, and that's 7 days per week. And we do expect our funding to last through the 12 weeks that was authorized. In addition, city staff launched our City Restaurant Partnership Program, and last week we served 2,335 meals to individuals in mental health crisis, families recovering from domestic violence, at-risk seniors, and at-risk food insecure youth and families by coordinating with Plain Clarity to connect Oceanside residents with recipient organizations. And those meals are based on an $8 a meal value. And so this helps recipients who are unable to shop for themselves and have become food insecure, and it's also helping our restaurants keep in business. We also have bulk food distributions and hot meal pickups. Over 500 boxes have been provided through Feeding San Diego and the San Diego Food Bank in collaboration with partners such as the Veterans Association, Salvation Army, and a list of other community partners. There's also regular food distributions occurring at Crown Heights Resource Center, hot meal distributions at Chavez and Libby Lake Resource Centers, and our senior transportation staff are working with the most vulnerable seniors in their program by shopping and delivering goods to their homes. And then additionally, serving seniors is at capacity with 180 daily hot meals that are picked up at the Country Club Senior Center, and staff are assisting with the home delivery of 57 daily meals to some of our most vulnerable seniors. And then lastly, in that food category, Oceanside Unified School District served 44,000 meals last week at 6 feeding sites to youth in the community. In terms of federal funding, so far we have been notified of an entitlement grant under the Community Development Block Grant Program of $788,000. We are waiting program guidelines for the eligible use of that fund so that we can start making an impact in the community beyond what we're already doing. We've also been notified of a Bureau of Justice Administration non-competitive $153,000 grant to assist in preventing, preparing for, and responding to the coronavirus with an emphasis on law enforcement and medical personnel. And then each department is evaluating the Federal CARES Act and other legislation for eligibility and applicability to Oceanside so that we can make sure we're maximizing resources here. And of course, tracking and coding all of our expenses for FEMA reimbursement. And so with that overview, I do have one recommendation for City Council, and that is, as is previously mentioned, the city is landlord to a number of tenants, primarily in the harbor, but also several others throughout town, as well as slip holders out in the harbor. And we're asking for council authorization to waive late fees and defer rent for up to 3 months to be repaid in 12 installments during the calendar year 2021 with no interest accruing, in order to give a breather to those businesses and slip holders, but assure that the city does collect our funds in the long run. And so with that, we do have staff here who are available to answer any questions, as well as myself.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, I understand we've had several public on this item.
Not on item number 13, but we did receive a voicemail after the noon deadline, but that was forwarded to council at around 4:30 today.
I believe there were several emails, whether it's this, I think it's going to be on this item regarding the ongoing 5G installation during this crisis. Do you have any comment that you'd like to make on that?
So 5G wireless is identified as an essential service by the federal government, and construction is identified as an essential service by the state of California. And so at this time, those installations are continuing, and I do have our deputy city manager responding to each of those inquiries that we received.
Thank you. Councilmember Rodriguez?
Thank you for that update and report. I really appreciate all the hard work that Oceanside staff is doing to just take on this unexpected monster that's come to our state and our country. So I appreciate staff, and I'm excited to hear all the innovative methods that are transpiring during this time that maybe we could continue on or replicate even after this passes. I really like what I'm hearing with that. I have a couple questions. The health orders from the county health office, from my understanding, they're the authority. Based on those orders, Oceanside Police Department has to comply. They're the body that has to comply to the health orders. So when they say close the beach, we have to close the beach. If somebody's on the beach, Oceanside Police Department has to enforce and do their job. This question is for you and potentially Mr. John Mullen. What would it take